Hi guys, so welcome back to this channel. Today we're talking more about the index in general, mainly the ones in New York Stock Exchange. We have the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones, as well as the S&P 500. So if we were to look at the NASDAQ, right, it has fallen quite a bit. In fact, it has not shows any signs of buyers coming in yet. So that's one of the things that is quite dangerous. You see that every time it goes up, it's being supported by the cloud. It goes up, supported by the cloud, and goes up, cloud support here, and then there's also a cloud support here. However, now we can see that there is no cloud support anymore. In fact, it has went down quite a bit. So that's one of the dangerous things to look at for NASDAQ. In fact, if you were to look at the overall time frame, it hit a high of about 16,200, and now it's about 13,700, and that's about a 15% drop. So in order to have a bear market, it needs to be about 20%. So we're only about 5 to 6% away from a bear market. And if you were to zoom out, you can see that the MACD is not looking good at all. Just look at the bottom here. Every time we recover somewhere low here, we tend to go up. Recovered, goes up, go below and it goes up. However, look at it now, we have indeed went below, went up, but now we have created a new low, which is very dangerous. The RSI is at oversold territory at about 25, but it can still continue being oversold. So looking at the daily charts is not looking too good. So let's look at the weekly charts instead to get a better picture of the MACD. Okay, so looking at this was the crash in 2020 in March. And you can see that the MACD was low here. This was in 2019. The MACD was also low. And look at where we are now. We are actually turning downwards. And it has went so high, it's being supported by the cloud. So there should be some support here at about 12 to 13,000. You can see that the RSI is also coming down. So likely to touch about oversold position somewhere about 20. And do take note that this is on the weekly time frame and not on the daily time frame. So the indicators will still take some time to turn. You can see that we actually went up here. We crossed many times somewhere here, but we did not sustain the momentum. Hence, there's a bigger drop now. If you were to look at the monthly time frame on this NASDAQ index, you can see that it has in fact peaked quite a bit. Looking at this MACD at the top right here, it's starting to turn down. So that shows some losing of momentum. You can see this very big red candle here. So that's not really a good sign. It shows that there has been a lot of selling pressure in the past month. So if you were to ask me where would be a good potential entry, well, I would say we have to look at the Fibonacci. So if you were to plot starting from somewhere about the peak, which is about 16,200, all the way down to the low in March 2020, it will be about 6K. So you can see that the first support here, I will bring this out a bit. You can see that the first support here is about 14.2K. And you can see that down here, the previous support was around 14.2K. However, this time around, it did not hold at this level. So we may be looking at about 12.5K, or the next psychological support would be definitely be 14K and 13K. But it looks to me that 14K will not hold too well. So we may retreat back to about 13,000. That's where we can see some potential support. And not forgetting that the MACD has to turn as well. MACD may turn bearish and goes down just like this in March 2020 before it can continue going up. However, in the event that buyers do not come back, and then we may face a further decline in the NASDAQ, even though it is unlikely the case. Okay, moving on to the Dow Jones and S&P 500. If we were to look at the S&P 500, consisting of the 500 top companies, you can see that it has fallen as well, but not as much as NASDAQ. NASDAQ took a fall about 15%, while S&P 500 took a fall about 9%. So if you look at the daily time frame, you can see that the MACD has also turned and is not supported by the cloud. So if you look at here, you can see that this thing is supported by the cloud here. It came down, retraced, supported by the cloud. But this time around, it broke the cloud and went downwards. MACD has turned. In fact, it already turned bearish here and yet to turn up. So only when it turns up and then it crosses this orange line, it shows that the trend has reversed. The risk is low as well at about 26 on the daily time frame. Let's take a look at the weekly time frame on this S&P 500. If you look at a weekly time frame, you can see that there is a cloud support somewhere down here. But does it mean that it will hold? It's hard to say. It's about psychological level at about 4,000 here. Likewise, you can see that the weekly MACD has turned as well. The risk is about 40 now. And here, the risk in March 2020 was about 20 in oversold territory. So if we do a Fibonacci up here, from the peak to the low, we can see that there is some support at the 4.2K, which we are not too far away, only about 200 points away. And that's where the cloud support here comes in. But we may test the 4,000 psychological support, where there is more cloud support here before we continue to with the uptrend. So if we look at Dow Jones index now, which is just holding the 30 companies, you can see that it's the same thing, similar to S&P 500, or NASDAQ is a slightly greater correction. Dow Jones high was about 36,800, and it fell to about 34,200. So it gave out about 2,000 points, and that's about 8% drop. Same thing for this MACD, it has turned as well, cut through, and then it couldn't recover back. The risk is slightly higher compared to the NASDAQ. It's yet to fall so much because it only fell about 8%. And there's also a cloud support coming soon, somewhere between 32,000 to about 33,000. So if you look at the weekly time frame, it's not looking too good, but it's at least looking better than the NASDAQ. Same for this monthly time frame, we can see that there's a bit of turning. It's turning soon. It's not very healthy. So yeah. So if you do that Fibonacci to see where is a potential support coming in soon, you can see that from the low of about 18,000 to a high about 36,200, you can see that we are in fact facing some pullback, and that will find some support around the 33,000 mark and about 32,800. So if we were to see that these are being breached on intraday and they manage to close above 33,000, then there is some potential support coming in. Okay, so overall, I would say that the NASDAQ is much more bearish compared to the two other index of S&P 500 and also the Dow Jones. So we have to be forewarned because tech stocks are actually turning and doing a very big hit. So we have to be careful and be prepared that the NASDAQ can fall up to about 12 to 13,000 in the upcoming days or weeks. So once again, thank you guys for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed this content that was covered today. And in the event that you have any stocks or crypto or any index that you guys want to talk about or discuss about, feel free to comment down in the section below. If there's nothing else, then I'll see you guys in the next video.